And we should be live. Hello, everyone. Good night or good morning, depending on what side of the world you're in. I'm Annalise BNT, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what I feel regarding the OCC ruling on the interpretive letter. All right, I think I'm back. Let's try that again. Something happened to my internet and it went out. But, anyways, what I was trying to say is good morning and good night, depending on what side of the world you're in. My name's Annalise BNT, and today I wanted to give some of my insight regarding the OCC ruling for the interpretive letter 1174. Now, before I start, I do want to say that I am neutral regarding the matter, just due to a few things that we still have to see play out, but let's get into it. Alrighty, so first and foremost, I have to share my screen again. Sorry, guys, this messed up all my stuff. Let me get everything up and running again. There we go. Boom. All right, so yesterday, as we know, there was a letter released for federally chartered banks and thrifts may participate in independent node verification networks and use stablecoins for payment activities. Washington, the Office of Controller and of Currency today published the letter clarifying national banks and federal savings associations' authority to participate in independent node verification networks and use stablecoins to conduct payment activities and other bank permissive functions. While governments in other countries have built real-time payment systems, the United States has relied on our innovation sector to deliver real-time payment technologies. Some of those technologies are built and managed by bank consortia, and some are based on independent node verification network, such as blockchains. I'm going to stop right there. So, a little bit from what I'm taking from this is that the government is, or not the government, but specifically the OCC is letting the private sector take over this, which is not uncommon, only because if you guys know what the Federal Reserve is, it is a private sector. It's not an actual government agency. So the government is giving the opportunity for not only banks to prove themselves that they can handle this technology, but also blockchains such as Stellar Lumens to also make sure that they can handle this technology. I will go over to CoinDesk real quick. Let me zoom in on this price right here. If you guys have been paying attention to Stellar today, which has a partnership with IBM regarding their blockchain WorldWire, I believe it's called. This was very bullish news for them. Now, Karen Smith, executive director of the Blockchain Association, said on Twitter that the letter states that blockchains have the same status as other global financial networks such as SWIFT, ACH, and Fedwire. So if you guys have ever transacted money in other countries, you may know how long it takes to do a wire transfer or transfer things from bank to bank across borders. It takes a really long time, days, if not weeks, for the verification processes to go through. Now, because of the nature of blockchain and the immutability, this now allows banks to settle transaction faster, which is huge. So Brian Brooks, the controller of currency, said in the statement, while other nations have built real-time payment systems, the U.S. has relied on the private sector, again, strengthening the position that we may not just go to a full government, instead of the government building their own blockchain, they'll rely on the private sector, which was assumed. I assumed this would happen. Now, this isn't, let's look at the world debt really quick. The world debt clock. This is probably one of my favorite websites. So if we're looking at the world debt clock, back in the 60s, our debt was at 53.4%. 80s, it went down to 34%. 2000, 59.7%. Now we are over 100%, capping in at 103% of the world debt. This is an issue. So two things can happen here. One, we can keep printing money in the midst of this pandemic, whatever you believe in, and we can continue to, I guess, inflate this national debt. Or two, instead of rebranding the entire aspect of our currency, which currently is Federal Reserve issued credits, which are digital, and the paper nodes, which are your US dollars, we can actually add a third component, which would be the stable coin aspect. Now, if you recall, back in July of last year, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting it's 2021. Back in July of last year, the Senate Banking Committee held a hearing on the future of the digital dollar. The topic of the digital dollar has been coming into play for some time now. This is not something that we're just hearing. So the real question is, was this something that was planned all along? So because of that, I'm going to scroll down just to highlight this one. Senator Tom Cotton stated that the U.S. needs a digital dollar. The U.S. digital dollar to keep earning that place in global payment system, it has to be better than Bitcoin. It has to be better than the yuan system. So as we know, China has been rolling out their DCEP, which has been used for applications such as WeChat and Alipay. And of course, that threatens the position of the United States as the world leader. So because of that, the thought of me creating a digital dollar has been in the works. And I think this is a response to that, or at least a paradigm shift into a new digital era, let's say. Now, this kind of made I guess, a takeoff to where we are today. Because after that, in September of last year, 2020, federally chartered banks and thrifts may engage in certain stablecoin activities. So we were already seeing prior to this recent announcement that banks were already allowed to transact, hold, store in stablecoins, which is why, as we know, JP Morgan Chase and some other banks have been trying to get through the nicks and crannies. But essentially, this isn't new news. The only thing that is in addition to the news that we got in September is that now it is okay for banks to transact on blockchains, use them to verify information, which I feel was a little implied here, if you know what I mean. So fast forwarding to other current events or a debacle of events that kind of led up to this, Goldman Sachs utilized JPM coin for repo trades. So as we know, in 2019, JP Morgan launched the first bank-backed stable coin, but of course, there weren't any actual guidelines. So as we see companies such as XRP have partnerships and take on the roles of trying to replace the SWIFT system, which obviously has failed because they are currently going under scrutiny by the SEC. Here comes JP Morgan putting their foot through the door and saying, hey, we're partnering up with Goldman Sachs in order to transact. Now, is this a coincidence? As we know, Jamie Dimon is the CEO of JP Morgan. He is also a previous board member of directors for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. David Puth, American financial executive. He was named the CEO of Center just this past month in December of 2020. If you guys know what Center is, it governs technology policy compliance and audits the reserve standards for USD coin, the fastest growing digital dollar currency in the world, which is partnered with Coinbase, of course. So USDC, aka another bank-backed stable coin. And we currently know that Tether is kind of going under a little scrutiny when it comes to being backed fully. I think they had admitted to owning 60 or 70% of the actual funds that they had. And this kind of goes into this bill. So as you guys remember, some people are taking this new ruling saying that banks are now allowed to run nodes to verify payments. Yes, that's a super bullish thing, but that does not throw out the proposed bill in Congress suggesting that it's unlawful to issue stablecoins unless you have a banking license. So this past month, I think it was this one I wanted to read actually. Yes. So the Stable Act. So the Stable Act basically goes backwards, according to Kim Smith, CEO of an advocacy group, Blockchain Association, said that the regulation would strengthen the position of the most powerful financial institutions while overlooking two core promises, which is decentralization networks and the chance to put more power in the hands of individuals and consumers to catalyze cross-border payments and other financial services. So basically, again, with this Stable Act, essentially what it's doing is it kind of is in favor of what's happening right now, right? Because we're getting banks into the equation, which already have a banking license, which can then make their own stable coins, which would then put the Congress in the position of saying, okay, we already have all these stable coins, but we don't necessarily need companies like Tether or Dai or other companies that want to be decentralized functioning within the United States. That's a little bit of the scary part because we are aligning what the OCC is saying, even though I believe Brian Brooks does have good intentions, and what he's doing may seem contrary to that. And he did say that he wanted to provide it to private sectors. But again, please note, the Federal Reserve is a private sector. Thus, banks can also be considered private sectors, the private banking sectors. Notice those keywords. One of the things that I found funny here that I'm kind of just going to go over, see if it's on this article, the other one, a very contradictive comment from the person who proposed this bill. So from the OCC to the Federal Reserve, those peddling stable coins, the predictions of the Stable Act would likely make it possible for more needed and I'm sorry, this is not the one I wanted to read. It is this one. We cannot outsource the issuance of American currency to private entities, and the Stable Act guarantees that our regulators will be able to efficiently oversee the application of this new technology. So that's probably one of the most hypocritical things that I've probably read in a while, saying that we cannot give the American currency to private entities, when in fact the Federal Reserve is a private entity. Funny. So between these two bills and what has come about, I have, again, my opinions on where we are seeing this go. Again, I'm neutral depending on which way this goes, because this can, if the bill that's currently being proposed in Congress passes, it gives more strengths to the banks. If it doesn't and it's knocked down, then we are in, I guess, an equal playing field where both private companies such as Dai, Tether, I think CeeLo, I was going to mention CeeLo Gold, but I don't think they're a stable coin. I don't remember. But companies as such, they will have an equal playing field to companies such as USDC and JP Morgan coin in the sector of transacting payments. So until that is clarified, I'm very neutral regarding the OCC ruling, because although it is bullish to allow banks to now play in the sector for the purpose of crypto innovation within the United States, it could backfire if that other proposal is passed through Congress. So that's my viewpoint on it. I haven't checked the chat this entire time I've been talking, so I'm going to jump in here, see if anyone has said hello. Yes, hello. I hope that was informative. I hope that gave you some, I guess, other insight. I've watched a lot of other streams from other people, but I didn't see them necessarily point anything out that I pointed out regarding previous ruling and the current ruling. But if you guys have any questions, if you guys are on YouTube or Twitter, if you guys, I think Twitter streaming is going away soon, so please follow me on YouTube at Bits and Tokens. I will be streaming there all the time, but leave comments, any feedback. If you think otherwise of what's going on, just drop a comment. I want to talk to you guys. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for listening to my viewpoints on the OCC ruling. Take these things into consideration. The links are below in the description. Take care.